eine Abschaffung, das heißt ersatzlose Streichung der Paragraphen 173 bis 176, Legalisierung aller zärtlichen sexuellen Beziehungen zwischen Erwachsenen und Kindern, die gewaltfrei sind und auf freier Vereinbarung berufen.
Having sex with a child in today's society is wrong. Not because it's wrong to have sex with a child, but because society sees it as such.
I think we need to be more compassionate to people who, are attracted to kids.
What your standpoint is on different things is strongly affected by the society you live and grow up in.
I mean, pedophilia is the same as homosexuality in the sense that you can't help it. It's not your fault.
I'm just simply saying that I think the age of consent in this country at the moment is too high.
Other primates have no sexual boundary when it comes to age and gender. I don't see why we should.
Why are we so against this idea of kids being in sexual situations, either with other kids or with adults? What is it about it?
In a utopian world with no sexual taboos, having sex with children could become part of their natural upbringing.
Everyone is just so quick to judge, but no one ever thinks about what that must be like.
Pedophiles are people too.
They are natural desires. People, you can't change who you're attracted to. You can't change your sexual orientation.
A paedophile, by definition, is just someone who feels attraction towards children.
I think it would be really cool if we could be more open about sex as a society, with kids.
Pedophiles should be treated like any other people.
Progressing to the point where we can look pedophiles in the eyes and see them as equals is actually going to take some effort. And yes, that is the future I am pushing for.
Paedophile just means that you are sexually attracted to children. They love children.
Sex is not harmful to children. It is a vehicle to self-knowledge, love, healing, creativity, adventure, and intense feelings of aliveness.
I'm just going to put my view out there. There shouldn't be an age of consent at all.
North America and Europe are a stew of cultures and subcultures, and many of them are much more relaxed about kids' sexuality.
I think as long as something isn't destructive and doesn't hurt anyone, then it can't be wrong.
I don't think age of consent is helpful to children.
I am merely trying to defend society's most hated and persecuted minority. They can't help their sexual orientation, just like you can't help yours.
Part of the process is to promote those conditions in which children can explore and celebrate their sexuality.
Being a pedophile just means that you have different sexual attractions.
And what if no one believes this truth?
Someone already does.
When millions of people stand up and fight, they win.
Hey everyone, it's TVC Mario, and well, that is so disturbing. Wow. This is a part 2 to a previous video I did, so if you haven't seen that one and you're interested, I'll leave it linked up in the description section. But we're going to dive deeper into this here, the YouTube pedophile advocates, as you just heard from them, preaching basically that love knows no age. Wow, that's actually pretty sickening, and as you can see here, trying to integrate themselves into the LGBT community, something that many Christians have predicted for a long time, and I'm going to predict is going to happen. I know many of you in the LGBT community will be upset, maybe enraged actually when I say that, and I don't mean it to offend you, but I think I'm going to make a clear argument in today's video as to why that is the truth. And we can see that coming. And don't get mad at me here today, just think I'm crazy, and then when it happens, just you'll remember I told you. We've been saying this is going to happen, and you'll see why. So anyways, guys, the YouTube pedophile advocates are preaching that love is love. That YouTube channel, video, comes from this YouTube channel. As you can see, it has all its videos unlisted. So when you actually go to that one, it's an unlisted video that has circulated to the point of going past their little 250 subscribers, getting over 4,000 dislikes. But this is disheartening. Almost 3,000 likes on the video. So pretty disturbing to see that. But if you come over here, you can see love is love. And then they say, what if pedophilia is just an ordinary sexual orientation? And as you can see, gay, lesbian, bisexual, pedosexual, transgender, equality. And you have NAMBLA. This is a symbol that the FBI has declared is a symbol for pedophiles, so it's used in code. And if you studied Pizzagate, you should know that, and there's associations to Pizzagate to this one. Yeah, so this is pretty disturbing, and the fact that it has no videos. And wait a second here. Oh, who subscribed? I guess EasyMac777. What are you doing? All right. Okay. Anyways, so the channel has no videos, and that would mean that it would be basically like kind of like an underground network of pedophiles who are unlisting videos, and still they know they can't come public with it and you know, preach their gospel out publicly without huge pushback, I'm sure. So they unlist their videos, but still they're out there. So I wanted to talk about this because it's actually something that unfortunately is a horrible sign for society and where we're standing today. You know, the Bible has a lot to say on this, and we'll discuss that. But what we're seeing here biblically and just truthfully out there is a collapse, a moral collapse of society through sexual immorality. The tradition and the order of society is being completely, you know, broken apart, and that is going to cause some chaos. And we've discussed this. It's part of the New World Order agenda, but this is a very, very disheartening and horrible thing to see these people so deluded. Now we need to keep them in prayer. We need to pray for individuals who would fall what I believe to be almost into many times a reprobate state with these type of bondages, and also especially pray for the kids who would be victims. We're talking about an entire generation of kids who could potentially would become victims to the older you know, generations of that future society embracing this and allowing this. And if you don't think that's possible, please hear me out to the end of this video. I'm going to make some pretty solid arguments. I'm going to show you that this is where the outcome goes, and the Bible points to this. It points to an evilness, a fall, a moral collapse. Don't you look around in society and see that we have fell morally, unbelievably in the last couple decades, and it's just going to continue? No one's going out there to take stands of righteousness and set up righteous standards for society. No one cares about that anymore. So let's just be real with ourselves. This is where the landslide of our society will end up taking us. And these are just the first few steps there. So let's analyze this. Let's look at this. The first thing I want to point out, as I stated, this is going to be a powerful movement in the future. Who knows how long, but they're going to use the same exact talking points as the homosexual community has used themselves. You know, different things like I'm born this way. You know, whether someone argues that they're born with a homosexual orientation, or someone would argue that they're born with an orientation towards a child. Really, what is the difference? You know, what is the difference? There is no difference out there. Okay, that's why Christians on this issue have the truth. Both are sexually immoral. Now, I'm not saying that they're on the same level. I would definitely argue that pedophilia is a more grave sin. It's more serious than anything else. So that's not what I'm saying. But at the same point, they do have the same arguments to make. You know, they're saying love is love. Don't you judge me. I'm born this way. You know, I have this, which is the same thing that we heard from them. Because you know what? If you went, let's say, like 50, 60 years ago, and you took, you know, an old couple back then, a senior couple from, like, let's say 70 years ago, or whenever it was that, you know, Elvis was shaking his hips on television and that was a big deal, and you were able to show them what is going on today in society when it comes to homosexuality, when it comes to transgender, with Caitlyn Jenner, with Ellen being one of the most popular hosts on television, and you talked about the, you know, fact that they completely took what God had ordained as marriage, because it is God who ordained marriage, and they took that and they desecrated it by turning it into law, this thing, this abomination thing called homosexual marriage, because that's not possible. You need a new name for it, because marriage is instituted by God, and it's between a man and a woman, but this is being accepted, and if you're against this, you're somehow seen evil. They would be like, what? Are you kidding me? That's going on? I can't believe it. Homosexual marriage is accepted? Whoa, that's crazy. That's so immoral. Poor society. Okay? So in the very same way that you today, if I was to flash, like, put you in a time machine and show you, or be able to on the, you know, your phone, show you 60, 70 years from now where they could potentially be, and show you that bestialities is going to be practiced, pedophilia and all this stuff, you're going to be like, whoa, really? I don't believe it. Oh my goodness, it's so repulsive. Same thing. Okay, because what we are experiencing as a society is a moral collapse that is happening slowly, well, kind of slowly, but over decade after decade. And this thing, when's it going to stop? At no point. The Bible says that in the second day, the days of Jesus' second coming, that it's going to be exactly how it was in the days of Noah. And the Bible says that in the days of Noah, why God had sent the flood, it's not because he was evil. It's because mankind itself had gone so corrupt and so evil. The Bible describes those humans who lived in that age and in that generation. It says about them that every thought of their mind was continuously evil all the time. That's all they thought was evil. Greed, lust, sex, it's immorality consistently. Okay, so that's why God brought the flood. And another example that I wanted to bring up as well is Sodom and Gomorrah. We see that Sodom and Gomorrah is another example, I guess, of a civilization that embraced sin to its utmost. Just, you know, all sorts of things. The pedophilia was being practiced, the transgender, the homosexuality, the worship of demons, and God's response to that was to bring judgment to it. Okay, so you got to be very careful when you're flirting with sin and allowing these things. You know, it's going to be the same thing that it was, these social movements for this sexual immorality that is exactly, you know, on the same plane. It's all sexual immorality. You know, God did create a world where this wasn't in it, but man sinned. We used, you know, our ability to disobey God, and we disobeyed, and we brought sin upon ourselves, and now this stuff is in the world. But through Jesus Christ, there's a resolution, there's redemption, you can be set free. But the Bible does talk about this happening, and this is not a surprise to me that we can see this. And I'm telling you, you're going to see more and more of this. We talked about in the previous videos, one of the elements of this. I'm going to just show you how society is going to embrace this, if you think it's so far-fetched, is the sexualization of children that you can see today as a symptom of this moral collapse in society, being pushed by the media. And I'm very sorry for these images. They're totally sick and inappropriate. But I need to make a point here because this is important for people to realize, especially in the homosexual community, and everyone needs to realize this. But they're going to hypersexualize the kids, as you can see in the media. Okay, it's not a surprise when I make that claim. Okay, you know it's happening out there. So that's step one. Hypersexualize the kids, and we looked at that in the previous video through the media. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with him, Milo Yiannopoulos, but he's a political public speaker and here he is in pig's blood and flashing his little 666 sign. And I know many of you are brainwashed to love this guy because the political cloud that is spiritually blinding a lot of people right now. But he's a Zionist gatekeeper, shill, disinformation agent who tells you what you want to hear, but he's actually working for the agenda. He actually preached on why pedophilia should be accepted on the Drunken Peasant show and on different other platforms as well. So if you actually listen to the interviews, you're going to hear him actually say that what they should do is, because he talks about being a Catholic little boy who was sexually molested, not sexually molested, but sexually engaged with an older priest, and he was consenting to it. And what he was saying is it was a fulfilling relationship in his life, and it's good, and you know, society is so quick to judge, and because it was consensual, you know, he was trying to argue. Now, he came under a lot of fire for that. And he kind of tried to retract the statements, but you can totally see that that's what he was preaching, and that's what they're going to do in society. They're going to push that kind of mindset that, okay, well, you know, the kids are so sexualized today, they look like little, you know, older women, then it's okay. If they consent to it, you know, the little boys and the little girls, well, it's okay. We can sexualize them, just like you heard in the video at the start. Okay, so that's how they're going to push this on society. And you'll be shocked, I know, but it's coming. Just like the homosexual agenda of today, the takeover. You know, it would have shocked people back then. Just get used to it. It's exactly what the Bible would predict. So for those of us who are spiritually discerning the times and the seasons that we find ourselves in, let us be into prayer. You know, these are obviously dark times, and society is becoming spiritually confused and adopting some crazy stuff now. I know the majority of people out there are not accepting this, but watch, it's slow. It works its way in. That's how Satan does it. He's pushed in the transgender agenda so fast out of nowhere this year. And it's just going to be one after the other. It's always what's next, what's next, what's next. Hollywood is always about like pushing the next most perverse thing. They always do it decade after decade, and it's just going to lead to more immorality, more of a social collapse, more confusion, things like that. So let us be vigilant in prayer, faith family, for the world, people around us as the world you know, goes into this. But there's more opportunity to shine the light when things get dark. The darker it is, the more bright the light is. So let us be the light that they need to see of truth. So have a blessed and wonderful day. Stay vigilant and fear no evil.